Vance, there's been a lot of comments all week from players and from Cliff about the communication defensively. Just how did you see that on Sunday, and what can be done to fix that?
And the communication, it did suffer some. You know, it was more about the operation. The entire thing suffered. You know, our guys played hard. They tried to make plays, but the total operation wasn't good. They played very well, and we played awful. You know, and that's the bottom line. You know, it's obviously you got to coach better there because you can't play that way. And when you do, you have to go back and look at what you did the previous weeks. You know, and in my opinion, it was more the operation than it was effort or anything else. You know, we just didn't play fast. We couldn't get lined up. The calls were coming out slow, and we didn't play clean enough. And they did. And when you play good people who are playing clean and you're not, it looks that way.
Like, did you see anything in camp that would maybe show that this would happen?
I did not. Obviously, you know, week one in the NFL season, no one knows how good they're going to be because you hadn't played anybody, right? And that's always the issue week one. You know, so you have to be careful, obviously, of your entire process, doing camp, doing preseason, on trying to simulate playing fast and playing under pressure and, you know, doing things at a full speed rate versus good people. You know, it's hard to simulate that. And obviously Sunday, our operation of playing defense wasn't good enough, and theirs was almost flawless. That's why it looked so bad, in my opinion.
You mentioned calls coming out slow, the operation. Isaiah talked yesterday about getting comfortable with it and all that. Of course,
absolutely.
A lot of plays they ran. How much was it him just getting more comfortable with this role?
It wasn't just him. It was just a total operation of playing fast. Hearing the calls, hearing the personnel, knowing your job, you know, matching their routes, you know, and that obviously was the biggest issue for us on defense. You know, and again, the operation wasn't tested before that game. You know, so we had no idea how it was going to look. I was hoping it was going to look good because in practice it looked great. But in practice, it's no stress, right? It's a controlled environment. And I thought the operation killed us, you know, along with them being very good, you know, and that's obviously that's a double-edged sword. You know, if you're not playing good and you're playing slow and they're playing really good and playing fast, it looks like that. And it felt that way on the sideline.
Do you look at then, I mean, I know we got to get through this whole season,
Sure.
but then next season, do you hope to maybe get some reps in a game situation in preseason?
I think any time as a coach you play that way week one, you have to go back and reevaluate, right? That's just honest, right? That's what coaches do. You know, you have to go back and look at why it happened. And obviously, if the process leading to that was wrong, we have to go fix it, and that's okay. You know, that's just being honest and being transparent and admitting when you have to coach better and go fix it. That's no one's fault. You know, it's been teams that didn't play in preseason who's played well, and it's been teams who hasn't. You know, so every team's different. You know, and you have to go back as a coach and just kind of evaluate your process.
Vance, how much would it help getting 99 back this week? He was out there today.
It always helps to have good players back. Obviously, I mean, he's a guy that's a great leader. He's a great player. You know, he's a calming voice in a huddle when things get crazy. You know, so having him back hopefully this week will help. Absolutely. I'm sorry?
Did he look like he might be able to give you something Sunday?
He's close. You know, he's practicing. You know, obviously JJ wants to, you know, play every game and play every snap. So, you know, we got to be careful with him to make sure he's right to play.
Jalen Thompson?
I'm not sure. You know, he's missed 2 days. So when you miss 2 days of football practice, it's always tough to come back and play at full speed on Sunday. So we'll see about him tomorrow.
How much of a challenge certainly is that if he's not there, plus the situation at corner?
Right.
I mean, there was just a lot of different things going on out there.
I'll say this about our defense. I have no excuses, right? We have guys who can do their jobs. And on Sunday, we didn't do it. You know, and that's my fault, absolutely my fault as a coach. But we have guys who are capable. So whoever plays on Sunday, I expect us to play good and win.
When you watch tape with the guys like that, like, do you flip over tables? Do you get upset? Like, when you
It depends. You know, obviously our guys want to win, you know, so it's not a lack of want to. And it wasn't. Guys were playing hard and trying to make plays, but it was a lack of awareness and alignments and leverage and all those things, you know. So the entire thing failed. And it wasn't every play. It was probably 14 to 15 plays. But in a football game, that's a lot of plays to make errors, and especially on critical downs, right? 2nd and 10, 2nd and 13, we're making mistakes. 3rd down, 4th and 2, so playing your best ball in those moments is always key. If you have 15 bad plays in a game, it can be 44 points, unfortunately. I'm sorry? Yeah, he's coming along. I mean, he's obviously getting healthy. He's played a bunch of ball in his time, so he looks good in practice, but he's not quite there yet.
We talked about the need for your guys to get some preseason reps to work out these teams before week 1 gets here.
That's behind us, right? I mean, that already happened. We got to move on now. I mean, it's past week 1. That's behind us. That's a team decision, and that's behind us. And again, every team's different. Every year is different, right? It may be a spot next year where no one plays again, but every year is different. And obviously, as a coach, when you make decisions, if you make it and it works, it's a what? It's a good decision, right? If you make it and it doesn't work, it's a bad decision. That's just coaching. So if you make it and it's not good, you have to go back and fix it. So, next year we'll deal with next year, but right now we're on to week 2, and hopefully last week's lesson helps us.
The same part of coaching, you go back and you evaluate and you change things.
Absolutely, and camp's next year. That's the issue, right? We're past camp. That's over. We can't redo camp, but what we can redo is week 2. And play better than week 1. So that's our focus. It's not training camp. That's next year's problem.
What did you see out of Zaven and Isaiah in that first game?
I thought Zaven improved and played good football. He wasn't perfect, but I thought he played good football. I thought Isaiah played good in spurts, and he had some plays where he hurt us, on some critical downs, and that we have to rectify and fix.
With Isaiah, he had said right after the game, not my best on Kelsey.
Right.
Now he's got Waller, and he doesn't have to wait long to get another top tight end. I mean,
Yeah.
How was his kind of approach this week? And do you have to worry about him kind of confidence-wise, going against 2 top tight ends?
No, he's fine. Obviously, he knew he didn't play great last week, and we had a good plan for Kelsey to kind of get him leverage or doubled, on most of those targets. But he was drafted 2 cover tight ends, so next week he has to wash his brain and go try again. But it's a tough job in this league. Those guys are more receivers than they are tight ends now, and obviously, playing within the scheme and playing your proper leverage and playing the coverage called will help him, and unfortunately last week he didn't do that, so hopefully this week he does that. We can help him.
What did you learn about your pass rush from this week?
Not the pass rush in spots was good. Obviously we got 4 big guys out there, wouldn't be as good, but when we bought 4 and 5 guys, we got pressure, but Patrick was really good seeing the pressure and getting the ball off his hands. And, we didn't tackle well in spots, but I thought the pressure was okay. He obviously saw it and threw it quick, and that's okay when you're bringing pressure. But you tackling the catch is obviously huge. They caught balls behind the line, 5 yards behind the line and gained 6-7 yards, and they can't do that. But the pressure was okay. It wasn't great, but it was good in spots.
When you bring that much pressure against maybe a lesser quarterback, you're expecting a lot better results.
Absolutely. With Patrick, you bring 4, he holds the ball and runs around. If you bring 5, he throws it quick. And sometimes, having him throw it quick is a good thing, but you got to tackle, well. But he's a special player, obviously. He made some plays in that game that only he can make. And those plays I don't so-called care about. It's the ones that we should have made I care about.
Have you been a good neighbor and checked out Chandler's house and got us mail?
I spoke to Chandler last week about his house and about the game this week, and he's obviously excited to play us.
How much can you guys, obviously, when you would go ones-on-ones, your offense would see him. How much can you think they can take from facing him last year?
Hopefully a lot. Pass rush obviously won't change, and his style of being a rusher won't change. And he is obviously a great rusher, and if you're one-on-one with him a ton of times, he's going to win his share. They've also got Max Crosby, so it's tough to chip and double both guys. So having a good plan to block those guys is going to be critical to us winning.
When you're looking at the film, what stands out to you the most about Devontae Adams?
He is probably the best route runner in the league. Outside of Diggs and Buffalo, I mean, he is a special player. One-on-one again. I mean, those kind of guys win their one-on-ones. So if you one-on-one for 10 plays, he'll probably win 7. So having a plan to get him stopped and get him doubled from time to time is going to be critical. He had 17 targets last week, and I think he caught 10 for 141. That's a lot of balls. So it's going to be a tough task to get him contained. And I say contained, not stop, because, I mean, you don't stop those guys, you contain them. So hopefully we can.
It's kind of going off that. We talked to Isaiah yesterday, and we kind of talked about Hunter Renfrow not exactly looking like an NFL receiver, kind of really more to like an average dad being out there.
Sure.
Everybody talks about Devontae, and rightfully so, but like, what do you see from guys like Hunter Renfrow, and even like touching on Darren Waller? Like,
Yeah.
How do you contain that?
They've got skill, guys. I mean, the tight end's a big-time guy. He can really run. He's got a huge catch radius. I mean, Renfrow in the slot, one-on-one, it's almost uncoverable, without leverage. And obviously Adams and the back's a really good back, Jacobs. So we can't discount him. I mean, he averaged 5.7 yards a carry last week, on very few touches. But I think Josh is going to hand the ball off more often this week, and also use play action to free up Devontae and those guys. So it's going to be a tough out. They've got 3 really good skill catchers, and they got a good back. And the quarterback's experience. He's been in Pro Bowl, so it's NFL football. Every week is a different challenge, and I think we're up for it. But we have to play better. If we don't, it won't get better. But we have to coach, and we have to play better this week.
Can it be as simple as a couple of 3 and outs right off the bat just to get settled in and feel get a little confident?
Absolutely, confidence is everything. So playing your best ball early is really key. That speaks to the game plan working, and it speaks to guys doing their jobs. And if you make them adjust early, that's a win for the defense. If you don't, it can look like last week.
We have to see from Majay to become active on game days.
Majay has to continue to work hard in practice and get better and simply earn our trust. We want guys we can trust to put out there. And, again, it's a hard league, and young guys have to earn their way. So once we can trust him to do it right every single down, he'll play.
What's the next step for a guy like Cameron Thomas and Christian Mack?
Same thing. Just young guys, being trustworthy. It's a hard league, guys, and every play matters, and obviously the trust is gained in practice. So once those guys prove that we can trust them as a whole, they'll play more.
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you, guys. Enjoy your day.